Welcome back to Irons United. I am joined by Luke and Dan for the Newcastle United preview on what should be a special night for where we are celebrating the Billy Bonds stand that's going to be announced on Saturday against Newcastle, live in front of the cameras, live in front of the floodlights of the London Stadium. Benitez brings his possibly informed Newcastle to the London Stadium. Luke, Newcastle United, let's get chatting, mate. Go for it.
Yeah, a bit of a funny one. Benitez obviously doing bits with them where he can. They booked that. They finally spent some money and booked that Almiron. Hopefully, I've got his name right there. He's seems to be picking up the pace in the league, and then they've got the fast emerging Sean Longstaff. I think that's his name. He's meant to be the new Declan Rice, although we all know that Declan Rice is always going to be better than him, and he ain't got a chance. They're both pegging him in the England squad. Don't care, Newcastle fans. Come at me if you want, but that's just my opinion. Longstaff, who? But no, it's going to be an interesting game, and I think the emotion's going to be quite high due to obviously the aforementioned Billy Bond stand being open. So, yes, Mr. Premier League, Fandangos, what's your opinion on the old barcodes?
This is a tougher game than I think we're giving it credit. They're in good form. They're in very good form at the moment. That signing, Almiron, has made all the difference. It's given them a bit of creativity in that midfield. Rondon's the one to watch as well. He's upped his goal scoring all of a sudden in the last few games. And yeah, they look good. They haven't got a good record on the road though, so that's in our favour. We have got that in our corner at least, and I'm sure it's going to be a changed team for us. You know, the team that's just played City, that same team ain't going to play again against Newcastle at home. And, I kind of echo what you say there as well, Luke. Got to do it for Bonzo, really. It's a big night.
Absolutely is, mate. Let's just touch on a bit more on Newcastle. And one player you did talk about a couple, actually, but in particular, Rondon. He's one of those players that we were previously linked to. And, I can't help but like the guy. His goal-scoring record's decent, considering he's played at that standard of club in the Premier League. Luke, what is your thoughts on Rondon and touching on what Dan said?
Yeah, I've grown to like him actually since he went to Newcastle, because he seems to be that kind. He's like the Mitrovic for Newcastle, and I'm sort of growing to him as in when we were linked with him originally. I wasn't really that behind it. I was like, I'm really going to go for a relegated, target man. He hasn't really done it for them, so why would he do it for us? But he was linked in the past, just as Mitrovic is kind of being linked to us now if Fulham go down, which is looking likely. And our defenders had a really tough job last night against Man City's forwards, but this is a totally different kettle of fish. He's a physical forward. It'll cause them a lot of problems, especially in the air. And it's someone we've got to look out for, really. Just same as Mitrovic against Fulham was someone to look out for.
Dan, in reference to, I suppose, Mitrovic and Rondon, in your humble opinion, who would you prefer if there was an option on the two players?
He's gone, I think.
Have we lost him?
Yeah, he's gone. He's had enough. Doesn't want to play anymore.
Well, I'll pass that one to you, Luke. Go for it.
So, what was you asking him?
On the two players, Mitrovic. Is he back yet?
Yeah, he's back. This is going well.
Sorry about that, gents. The internet just crashed. It was weird.
So, Dan, we just asked you the question that Mitrovic compared to Rondon, if the two of them came up, Luke just mentioned it there, based upon the two kind of quality of players, so you've just thrown me. What's your opinion on the two players? Who would you rather take?
Mitra, all day long. All day long. Age is on his side. I'm one that wants our average age to come down. We need to, and I just think he's got a bit more about his game. They're both very similar players. Don't get me wrong. Both hold the ball up well. Good in the air. But Rondon's been anything but prolific. Mitra had a good season in the Championship last year. I think he's contributed to something like 70% of their goals this season. So it shows you how influential he's been for them. And I just don't think Rondon has had as much of an effect on Newcastle. I just think Mitchell would be the ideal plan B for me if he came up next season.
Excellent. We did mention Newcastle United's record signing, and that record was held for, I mean, I don't know, how many years was it? Was it 14 years or something before they made this signing of this?
It was Owen, wasn't it? Owen
Yeah,
was it?
Michael Owen. And look, yeah, you're going to pronounce his name and let me know your brief thoughts on him.
Almiron. Or could be Almiron or something like that. Some sort of.
But he made his debut the other night, and how did you think it came across? Because I mean, he looked really effective in the game. To be fair.
Look, you know, I don't follow every team what they do in the Premier League. You know, West Ham's my team, so I see snippets of what players do. I saw him when he first came away to Wolves, and he looked very lively. He looked a bit sort of nervous, but he still looked quite creative for him when he got the ball. And I saw him the other day against Burnley. He looked all right, but it's one of those where we have to keep tabs on him. You know, these sort of the tricky players that can, you know, unlock our defence. And even though we'd done a stern job last night against a very tough City team. That was basically backs to the walls, and we knew we were going to be defending for most of the game. Whereas this game, we're going to be attacking them more. So we're going to leave ourselves more open in the back. And players of Almiron's ilk, it is going to be too hard for them to find pockets of play and open passages up. So if he's all that, then Fabianski might have a bit more of a harder job on his hands than he did last night. So.
Last time out against Newcastle, Dan, we beat them 3-0 on their home turf. Newcastle went into that game after, I think it was a 3 or 4 winning streak. They're on a 2-game back-to-back winning streak. How do you think they're going to approach the game at the London Stadium?
The form's good. They're going to go for it, but home form is their home form that's better. 3 wins in their last 5 at home. On the road, it's a draw and a loss. You know, one of them wins was against City. We have to remember. So they're no slouch. They're playing well at the moment. So it's a difficult one. It really, I like I said, you know, I've already said, I think this is harder than. This isn't going to be a pushover game. This is going to be a lot more difficult than we anticipate. You know, even with our strongest team out, every win, it builds momentum. It breeds confidence through the team, and that's exactly what they want. And the addition of Almiron seems to have give everyone else that little bit extra because he's now doing the work that other players are having to do this season. You know. Rondon was having to drop deep. He's not having to do that now. He's able to get in the box and wait for the crosses to come in and stuff. Obviously, we mentioned Longstaff. He's been a revelation from the last 8 games. You know, he looks like a talented young player as well. So it's going to be a difficult game. It's going to be hard.
Newcastle played 28 games. They've won 8 times. They've lost 13. Scored 26. Conceded 34. Good stat though, coming out of all those. I mean, they don't concede a shed load of goals, to be fair to them. But they've got 9 clean sheets. Look, I mean, what do you read into those stats?
That we're going to lose this now.
Oh, come on,
mate. Look, you know, anything can happen in football. I mean, look, put it this way: we were on a 4-game win streak back in December, and then we lost to Watford 2-0 at home. We thought we'd give them a game and stuff like that. We've got to turn up with the right attitude. We can't take this as a team that's just like mid-table or bottom fodder, and that we should be able to walk over them. So they're going to become the game plan. They don't concede many goals. So I think we're going to have to look. Maybe we might even have to change our game plan. But we've got players coming back like Lanzini and Nasri, and you know, players who can, you know, and even today, Anderson was named in the Brazil team, so that's going to give him a bit of confidence. Yeah. We can't look at stats too much. Yes, they haven't conceded, but who have they played as well? So, you know, they played Burnley last game, and they don't exactly pepper teams away from home with, you know, goal threats or anything like that. So they might have not conceded very much, but then that should be our motivation to go and score against them. You know, they've got a pretty good goalkeeper, but in my opinion, we've got a better goalkeeper. We've got pretty better forwards on their day than they have, and if not, Onatovic plays and actually turns up and does a job, then there's no stopping him when he's on form. So as long as Carroll don't score, then Carroll don't play, we'll definitely score.
Yeah. Look,
50p head.
Look, give me the all-round West Ham Newcastle stats. You've got head-to-head stats, don't you?
Yes, I do. I don't know why you give them to me, because I hate stats.
I don't give them to you, mate. You sourced them yourself, didn't you?
Right, here we go. The record against us, I believe, is what you sent me. So
well done for your research, mate. It's good.
Yeah, they've won 54 times against us. They've drawn 37 times with us, and we've beat them 41 times, which I actually am surprised we haven't beaten them more. But
what's interesting is
it's closer. It's closer in the Premier League.
That's just what I was just about to say. You've got head-to-head. Look, Dan, you've got Premier League era. Go for it.
Yeah, so it's actually 12 wins to their 19 wins.
Yeah.
It's a lot closer from 42 games. So it changed.
This is why Dan should have done this, and I shouldn't have. Just corrected me. So yeah.
I only know it because I did Prem show the other day, mate. So that's all.
If for anyone that doesn't know, Dan has his own Prem channel, all that sort of stuff. So if you really want the full download on Premier League teams, go to Fan Dan Goes channels, because numpties like me tend to get it wrong.
And numpties like Luke do not belong on this show. I'm only joking, mate. Listen, we have obviously spoken a lot about Newcastle. We've come off for me personally, a disappointing loss, albeit we had the crap possession. We never had a load of chances from last night. Dan, give me your brief, quick rundown on the game last night and, you know, where Pellegrini is going to go moving into this Newcastle game.
Spirited and robbed are two words I'd use from last night. I did not expect that level of performance from that team when I see the lineup. No, Carroll was captain. Ben Johnson debut at left back because of an injury we didn't know about. Obiang hasn't been great for us. He come in the midfield with Rice. I didn't really know what to expect from last night, and I think every West Ham fan would probably agree that we were probably expecting to get absolutely hammered against them. You know, I don't know if anybody follows. There's one City fan in particular. He always talks up the West Ham fans who I follow on Twitter, and he said he cannot remember the last time they only scored one goal at home. So it shows you how well we played, and that one goal should have even stood because it wasn't a penalty. Yeah, for me, there's not enough contact there. When you think about the other end, Lanzini, if he hadn't been so honest and he'd have gone down, there was more contact there. So would we have got it? You know, because this is just the way the league works. So yeah, spirited, robbed. It was a good performance. I do expect some changes though. I think going into this one, I think Obiang will be dropped to the bench. Noble will probably come back in. Carroll won't start, and if he does, there's clearly a problem. And yeah, I would imagine Johnson's still going to play. He seems to have lost faith in Masuaku, and as we've learnt, Creswell's got a broken toe. So, but I think he did well on his debut, though.
Yeah, he did. Luke, have you got any kind of brief rundown? Anything you can add to that?
Yeah, well, I think social media went into complete meltdown last night when they brought the lineups out, which is to be understandable. And I think it was a bit like Pellegrini was pissed before even he named the lineup, going, "Go on, get there, do the best you can." Fucking hell, we're done here. But Johnson, to be honest with you, had a very astute game. We played a lot better than I thought we would. We even done some tiki-taka against them, which I don't think any teams managed to do against them below the top six this year. So we're proud of that as well. And I think, like you said, Lanzini, when he made that pass to Carroll, and Carroll obviously missed because it's Carroll, he probably went to himself, I should have gone down there, to be fair, because you are shit, Andy. But anyway, it was really, I felt with all that said, it was the one game I was looking at within this run of games we're about to go on. That it was a free pass, and I'm really, really kind of pissed off that, to be fair, out of all of it, we've lost to a penalty that shouldn't have been given. But in hindsight, it was a really well fought game. I wouldn't be going along as I wouldn't be making a speech like this if I didn't think we genuinely deserved it, because it's from going what I thought was going to happen to us. Even though Bonner played well. And even though Bonner...
Mate, I done the review last night. I completely...
I know you did, but I'm going to egg it into you.
No, mate, I'm fine. I'll never go against the West Ham player. Just do it for the odd wind-up here, there and everywhere. Listen, Dan, was there method in Pellegrini's madness with his team selection against City last night?
Yeah, I said before the game that he sees Newcastle was the more important fixture. Plus, obviously, there's a little bit of him that wants City to win the league, surely. But... I don't know. I just think he rotated at the right time. Newcastle is a game where there's more chance of winning, and at home as well. Our home record's been pretty good under Pella this season. So, yeah, I think there's not really much more I can say. It made sense. I just think it was a shock, the players that were picked, Carroll and obviously Johnson at the time.
A lot's been made. I can make this point. A lot's been made of how, as the the team was sort of a bit part put together sort of thing, and we did play really well. Do you think it was kind of like that back to the wall mentality when they all looked at each other and went, this isn't the first team. We're not the first team that we get picked. So we've got to work doubly as hard to try and keep them out. Or do you think, like one thing, if we put our first team out and he went, try and get a win that you're not expected to get, and we went for it a bit more than we maybe would have done if we'd have defended so much last night, do you think we'd have lost by more? Or do you think it was just we've got to defend because we're not good enough to attack kind of thing, if you know what I mean?
I want to jump on that one because I don't think that, mate. People can disagree with me or whatever, but I think when you're a professional footballer, I know you earn all the money under the sun, but, you know, the spotlight is on a team like Manchester City, which means the cameras are going to be there, everyone's going to be watching it, apart from the Man City fans because they never turn up in numbers at their home stadium. So
it was on TV.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, but you know what I mean. People will watch the game. It'll be a match of the day. It'll be one of the first games on. And you're a professional footballer, you're going to get given a chance. There's no way they're going to sit there and go like that. Nah, we're putting our backs against the wall. They're going to put the effort in. If anything, that's what's probably given us the result that we got, because maybe we could have gone into the game with our... Listen, I'm not saying this is definitely what would have happened, but maybe we could have gone in there with our first team and tried to give it a fight. And, you know, that first team has been known to get beat 5-0 from these sort of teams. So he's gone in and put something in that maybe Man City didn't expect and we didn't expect. Yeah. And the backs against the walls, and Man City panicked, to be honest, because they were like coming up against the Ben Johnson. What does he do? How does he play? We've not done our homework on him. We've not done our homework on, you know, Carroll's not played much this year. You know, he was ineffective yesterday. He got one chance, he should have put it away. Lanzini came off the bench. You know, they're giving them 2 game time, Nasri and Lanzini. Frederick started over Zabaleta. So, I mean, and for me personally, I mean, plaudits to Fredericks, because I thought he had his game of
man of the match for me.
Yeah, game of his career so far, which is not a big career, but unbelievable performance last night. Where do we go from here? What's my next question? I've kind of lost it. No, I've got some stats. I've got some. No, it's fine, mate. It's fine. It's okay. West Ham currently sitting 10th place on 36. No, it's not. Is it 36 points we've got?
Yeah.
Yep. 36 points, 5 ahead of our opponents on Saturday. Newcastle are 13th in the table, and are 6 points from safety. 5:30 under the lights. We're doing a big announcement for Billy Bonds before we go on to predictions in the team lineups and predictions on the games. Dan, the importance of, I mean, you know, people can say it's just a fucking stand and we're naming it after him, but, you know, this guy is Billy Bonds. He's, you know, I was unfortunate not to see him growing up, but, you know, as a West Ham fan, we all know what he is, what he did for the club, and he put in and how many appearances he made for the club, and how important is this day for West Ham fans to give something back to Billy Bonds that we've been crying out for years?
Yeah, it's always a massive honour, isn't it? You've always got to recognise the legends and the players from the past. You know, we've already got Bobby Moore and Trevor Brooking. We've already got 2 stands named after them, and I think probably the next one in line who was deserving of it was Bonzo. You know, like majority of my family are West Ham. There's a few odd ones that are strange and support other teams, but you know, he was my uncle's favourite player, and you know, he always talks so highly of him. The amount of footage that I've watched of Bonzos and stuff, and yeah, he was made up when they announced this, and you know, they're saying we should be in our seats 15-20 minutes early. It's going to happen before kick-off. I will be definitely making sure I am, because like I say, you've got to remember the good times and the past and the best players, and he definitely comes in, you know, into that category.
Absolutely. Look, anything to add to that, to the legend that is Billy Bonds?
I just thought, first of all, when you get the text saying please turn up early for the game, all the stewards' arses have just going, fucking hell, we've got a job to do on early on a fucking Saturday. So I don't think he was going to be moaning, but he was going to be moaning even more, saying, get me in that fucking stadium now, boy. Yeah. I can't miss the kick-off for this one. Second of all, look, I like you, and I didn't really get to see Billy Bonds in the flesh. And it's quite a shame, really, because I looked last night, and ergo that penalty, there was like hardly any contact, if any, to bring Bernardo Silva down. And back in Billy Bonds' day, it was almost like you should be embarrassed by, you know, going down. Most players have to stay on their feet, and players of his ilk, few and far between nowadays. And it is quite sad that we've got to this point in football now where we're so technical that we can't, you know, making a good hard tackle is now frowned upon. So those players are they should be heralded exactly for their not just the heart they gave, but the game they had as well. Because I think there's a lot of West Ham fans now that sort of miss seeing a good old-fashioned tackle, and he should be ruled. It's funny. I was into the radio this week, and they were saying it's a shame that we don't congratulate on our players while they're still alive, and they sadly only get remembered once they've passed away and they've gone. So the fact that he's still around to see this being done, finally being given, the honour that he's given, he's going to be great. And I think it's going to give that added push that that we need sometimes, that the players need, that this isn't a top six club, so they're going to have to go out and give it their all, just emotion wise. It's a day for the fans as much as the club.
With you saying that, do you think he'll be allowed in the dressing room? Do you reckon he'll be allowed in there to have a little say?
Honestly, if he does, I think you're going to see Anderson coming out all like wide-eyed, shaking, going, "Who did fucking expect that?" I'm a bit scared to come out of the tunnel with fucking
you made a
get up the arse.
You made a valid point there. They'll look about West Ham and teams in general, making sure they recognise players who have given their career to clubs, and maybe sometimes it's too late. And West Ham are the probably the best example of that, of how they treated Bobby Moore, which wasn't fantastic, and they tried to make up and he was not here, But like you said, I agree. It's great that they're doing it for the club, and hopefully he gets a great day out. And the fans obviously will be there in the numbers celebrating that day, which will be fantastic. Get back onto the game. Before we go into the predictions, one other player I want to talk about is Lanzini. He's come back from a crazy, horrible injury. He's played approximately, an hour over 2 games. He's looked good. He has looked good, mate. He's come back from that, and you don't kind of maybe expect him to be at that standard. Quick question for you: would you start him?
See, this is the thing. I would like to start him. I'm just not sure if it's the right decision, because this is me personally. I've looked at him since he's come on both last 2 games with gritted teeth. I'm cringing every time he gets on the ball, every time a player comes near him to try and tackle him, because an ACL is one of the worst injuries to come back from. I mean, I'll probably be the same when Yarmolenko comes back. But saying that, when he has come on, he has been a massive impact for us. Ergo, the ball he put through to Carroll last night, he's just a creative player. And I think if Nasri maybe isn't going to start, and we are going to have to start pushing for trying to get this 7th place or whatever you go for now, you have to play your best team in this league. And we didn't do it last night, and luckily we put in a good performance to come away with only a 1-0 loss. But if you're going to go into a game like this and you want to step it up, then you do start Lanzini and have maybe Nasri come on as a sub, or you switch them round and give, like we did last night, we played Nasri for one half and Lanzini for one half. If it's me, I'm going to be very pussy about this and going to say, no, don't start him. He's too risky. I don't want to get him injured again. So, start him if you really, really want to go out and give it a go and win this game. But I'm just I think it's too much of a risk right now to just shove him in the deep end.
Get your comments in below. Let us know your opinion on, should you think that Lanzini should start. Dan, I know you're shaking your head there. What's your thoughts on Lanzini starting?
I would start him. My reason for it is that usually from this sort of injury, as Luke said, it's a bad one for any sportsman or woman to get. To come back from it the way he has, he's shown no fear. And usually they're a bit tentative, players, when they first come back. They're worried about that first challenge. They're worried about that first bit of contact. And he doesn't really seem to worry all too much. He's looked very confident every time he's picked the ball up, and he looks like he wants it. He's hungry. And so even if he played the first half, give him 45 minutes, see what he can do. For all you know, he could be so influential, 2-0 up at half time. Then that's great. Pull him off. Nasri is a great replacement to bring on for him. I personally would start him. I've seen enough from the last 2 sort of appearances from him. I thought he was really good against City when he come on. Just give him a go, even if it is just 45 minutes.
Yeah, Dan, I agree with you, mate. I think starting him would set the message from the off. Whether he finishes the game, a different ball game. But if he's going to give Nasri and Lanzini, because I still want to see Nasri play. I want to see Nasri get given game time, because at home, under the lights with a confident West Ham, Nasri's a quality player. So if we're going to ease Lanzini back in, I would rather see him in the first half than I would in the second half. And that will be an interesting bit of news. Depends on what comes out on Saturday.
But how nice is that to have Lanzini and then the ability to take him off, and then Nasri can be brought on.
Absolutely.
You know, like we've not been able to do that too often this season with the injuries that we've had. So it's quite nice.
Add to the equation, Arnautovic is maybe possibly going to get over his bout of flu. He's not flown across China.
Chinese flu.
Chinese flu, yeah. He's not flown across to China.
He had a bad Chinese takeaway, dodgy Chinese takeaway. That's what it was.
And obviously, I mean, I would be absolutely baffled if Andy Carroll started and you've got Chicharito, and if, you know, what's he going to do? What is he going to do with the forward line Saturday? What do you think he's going to do? What do you want him to do?
It could go two ways. I can't say what I think is, because I'm thinking about 4 different combinations in the head, to be fair. But I think if he really wants to go for it, then he'd probably play 4-4-2 with Arnie and Hernandez up front. If he wants to use Lanzini, then maybe he'll. In my opinion, actually, to be perfectly honest with you, if there's any game that you would play Hernandez in, it's where you start Lanzini, because Hernandez cries out for a play of Lanzini's, to just put the ball through, him to run onto it, latch onto it, and score. If you've got Arnautovic, his game, whether he's doing it or not lately, is to do most of the hard work. So you'd find Lanzini running into the holes, trying to have a shot. So it depends what you get. If you go with 4-4-2, you probably don't even play Lanzini, because you'll have Rice and Noble that would have to go into the middle or whatever, and Anderson be the creative player out of that.
But let's not forget another player. I mean, I'm sorry, you never came your answer. Go for it. I'll bring another player into the equation.
Well, I didn't really have an answer.
You don't have an answer.
I think I just rambled. But if it was me, I'd probably end up going with Arnautovic up front with Lanzini in the hole and Noble and Rice. Keep it safe, but not too safe. You know what I mean?
Danny, you agreeing with that?
That's what I would do, but I think Pella's going to play Chich, because his plan was to play Arnie midweek. So I think his game plan was already sort of semi there for Newcastle.
Why I'm saying Arnautovic, by the way, is because I don't really believe that he's ill. Personally, I think it's the fact that
the trouble is, I don't think any of us believe anything that comes out of his mouth now. Unfortunately, the trust is gone. So
I don't know, but I don't know if any of you heard this, but I heard this in the week. I can't remember where I heard it from. Apparently, when Lanzini was warming up against Fulham, all the fans stood up and started clapping and saying, "Hey, our Jules back." And Arnautovic was about 5 yards behind him. As Lanzini turned around to go back the other way and away from the fans, Arnie was just coming up to be in front of the fans himself, and went to smile and clap his hands, say hi, I'm here as well. And the fans just sat back down again and didn't give him any advice.
To be fair, mate, I was standing there where they were warming up on the line, and I mean there was a really loud, anyone throughout the stadium would have heard when Lanzini was training alongside of the park. And to be fair, Arnie did get the crowd, but maybe it's just been magnified because everyone was just excited to see Lanzini. You know, I didn't see the biggest issue with that. I just seen more the issue of Lanzini was back, and we were all just like, "Oh my word, here he comes! The Messiah is returned." You know, another player to bring up.
Sorry for interrupting you, then.
No,
sorry, by the way.
Another player to bring up, because for me personally, I went through a couple of seasons of absolutely loving him, saying at one point, if you look back at our old videos, that he was one of my favourite players and was one of my favourite players for a long time. Dipped in form, but he is back, and in my opinion, he's back with a bang. Antonio. I'll throw this one to you, Dan, straight away.
Yeah, well, he is the most improved player this season.
Yeah.
We have all sat here on numerous occasions this year and said, what has happened to Antonio? He should be dropped, shouldn't be anywhere near the first team. And, he has done nothing wrong since Christmas. He really hasn't. I don't think he's put a foot wrong. The only thing that does happen with him, 65 minutes, and then he looks fucked. But, that's because he's working so hard for the team. I know that is an Antonio thing. He still manages to get through the game. But
how does he get through the fucking game? Because he looks smashed as anything.
I know. And
then he finds a second wind maybe 10 minutes later. It's weird. It's fucking nuts.
But he has been excellent. He was one of those players I was writing off. And I will sit here and happily eat that humble pie, because he has turned it around. He's been unbelievable recently.
Yeah.
Add anything to add to that, Luke?
Yeah, well, he made a really poor job of trying to fake the fact he had his dislocated shoulder last night when he went for a pretty pathetic header. But apart from that, he's. I'll always love Antonio. It's funny with West Ham is that we're going on this way where we want a top 6 standard football team where all the players can do a good job, and we almost want to get rid of all the workhorses because they're not very fashionable anymore and they can't keep up with the Premier League pace. But I'll always love players like Antonio because as he's shown, he's one of the most versatile players in the Premier League, never mind West Ham. He works his bollocks off. He loves playing for the club. He's a cheeky chappy with his celebrations, all the rest of it. And last night, I thought he was really unlucky not to set up a goal, or he just caused problems. I mean, you're talking about one of the best regimented teams in the Premier League. They're up there for a reason, and they look like they couldn't handle him after about 30 minutes. They had 4 chances to score, and after that, he was just bossing it up the right wing. He had no. You look at the difference. Anderson, who got the ball a fair few times, didn't look like he was going to do anything. Yeah, Antonio got the ball on the right hand side, balled his way through, and then got through and was unlucky not to set anything up. But I'm full of. I've always loved Antonio. I don't want him to leave unless he literally cannot keep up with the pace of the Premier League anymore, which I don't think is going to happen for quite a few years.
Do you know what? Credit to Antonio for turning it around, but I think some credit has to go to Pellegrini because this manager does something that none of the previous lot have done, and he doesn't rush players back. He lets them get fit.
And I think that's been the big thing.
Yeah, and I just think that's been the biggest thing. He's let Antonio get fit so he can get back to his best. I know Creswell, he keeps picking up niggles, but there was, 3 or 4 games where he was pretty decent as well. He looked fit again. Fredericks, he's come back from his injury. Look how, influential he's been on the right-hand side. He just seems to manage the players properly. Instead of rushing them back, it's like, I'll sacrifice a result possibly. We'll have to put out a weakened team just to make sure that next week I've got my best team. I think the credit has to go to the manager. He's changed the mentality slightly of the squad there.
Before we start talking about the team selection and the predictions of the scores, get your predictions in below. Let us know your predictions in the comments below. Let us also know your team selection, any changes you would make, and just at the end we'll read some of your comments out at the end. Let's no-brainer: Fabianski, Ogbonna, Fredericks, Diop, and it's looking like it's going to be Johnson in there. Going to make a big bold statement here. Balbuena is apparently fit and ready for selection. What I will say is, I'll hold my hand up and say when Ogbonna plays well, I think he is 1, if not 2 mistakes away from getting dropped quite quickly, if I'm being honest, because I think they'll want that Balbuena situation back in alongside Diop. So, but not that I'm hoping for that. Because I would never do that against a player. But that's just a bit of a bold statement. So we're all agreeing on those kind of 5 at the back.
Yeah, 5
changes we'll see will be Obiang stepping out, Noble coming back in, and the possibility of Lanzini or Nasri starting. I think this.
Do you know what? I've sort of thought that this is one of them games where you'll probably see the best and maybe the bullish Noble playing, because sometimes you get Noble who tries to be quite technical, like spraying the balls around. But you can imagine a night that is centred around Billy Bonds and the legends of the club, and you've got a tough tackling midfielder who wears heart on his sleeve out there. And it's funny because Dan just said, do you reckon that he'll go in the changing rooms and give him a team talk? I can see him going to Noble before the game starts, with Captain Time saying, go and do me proud, son. Yeah. He might have one of them games, so it's going to be interesting to see how Noble performs as well. I look forward to that.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. We've discussed the possibility of changing up top, so I mean, to be honest, we could sit here and just guess, but we'll have no idea because we had no idea what was going to happen.
Well, they done it for you about 5 minutes ago, didn't
I? So let's just get on to the nitty gritty. We're getting people coming in with predictions. Make sure you get your predictions in. Let us know quickly because we're coming to the end of the show. Get them in below. Let us know your thoughts. Look, predictions. West Ham, London Stadium, under the lights, against Newcastle United. Predictions, go.
I'm going to say 3-1 West Ham. And the reason why I'm saying 3-1 is that I have 3-1 on against Fulham and I forgot to put a bet on. So I'm pretty gutted I didn't take advantage of that. I can see kind of, Newcastle scoring, but I can't see them scoring that many, especially with the confidence the defence will have. So the fact they kept Man City out for practically the whole game last night. So I think it'll be, due to the fact it's Billy Bonds tonight, it will be a Noble penalty or a Noble goal. I think he'll actually score tomorrow. Anderson, being the fact he's just been picked in the Brazil squad, he'll be up for that. And then let's have it. Johnson debut goal, home debut goal. Let's have this, stick it in the back of the net, and then maybe If Diami's playing for Newcastle, Diami's going to score because he's a former player. So that's the only player I can think that's it's a bit out there, a bit left field. So yeah, 3-1 for me.
Excellent, Dan.
I'm going to go 2-1. I went 2-1 on my predictions, so I'm just going to stick with that. But I do see us winning. They like it at our gaff. I think they've won their last 2 visits, so we've got to worry about that a little bit. But our home form is pretty decent. Away from home is where they're iffy. So I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go Antonio and Noble goal scorers.
Excellent. It says here. No, I was going to give you some more stats, but I'll screw that. I'll go for my prediction. I was going to join you, looking saying 3-1, but I'm going to go 3-2 to West Ham. The number 3 is just a common feature when we seem to be on form, but I think we'll kind of 3-1 near the end. They'll score a goal and make us panic, but hopefully we'll grind out a result at the end. So fingers crossed we will get that. Listen, I'm going to read out some quick comments for us. Some guys are coming in here. West Ham Jordan saying Longstaff isn't anywhere near Rice's level. Can
I jump in?
Yeah.
Can I jump in? I said before we went on, I'm sick of the comparisons. When a good young English player comes through, it annoys me. Declan Rice has played over 50 games for West Ham. Longstaff's played 8 for Newcastle. We cannot make comparisons yet. It's unfair on Longstaff.
Yep.
Declan Rice is a next level footballer, don't get me wrong. But if Longstaff gets to 50 games and he's on a similar level, then away you go. But it annoys me. Why can't we just get behind them? They're English players.
Yep. No, I agree with you, mate. Can't add anything to that. Forever.
Honestly, it's like the Ronaldo and Messi comparisons. I mean, how much people accept that Ronaldo is the best player in the world and move on?
But do you know what annoys me about that? What annoys me about that is they're not even the same player. They're not even the same player.
I know.
You can't even compare them. Just enjoy them while they're fucking here.
I know, but Ronaldo's better.
Forever a regular on our show. Newcastle are playing well against the teams in and around the top 6. Newcastle defend deep, but in some cases will attack with a good few players on the break. We should have enough
for us because we know we need a top 6.
We should have enough in the team to get a result, and they should be up for it. Obviously, with the announcement of the Billy Bond stands. Forever's also talking about the biggest shot from the other night was Andy Carroll. Everyone's giving plaudits to Billy Bonds, of course. I mean, there's loads there to read, but I'm not going to read them all out. They just love him, and everyone does. Lanzini debate was leave Lanzini on the bench for the second half. I agree, ease him back in. We're safe, so we don't need to risk him. Plenty of games for him to get the minutes under his belt. Some people are saying start Lanzini. We should be looking towards next season. We could play both Lanzini and Lanzini in the starting 11. So yeah, loads of extra comments there. People are saying 2-1 West Ham. Someone's gone in 2-2 for a draw, and we've got a couple of more 2-1 West Hams as well.
Joy.
So listen, that's been our preview of the Newcastle game. Fingers crossed we turn up on the night, the fans turn up on the night. Make sure you subscribe to Dan Fandango's channel on YouTube. Make sure you click, we'll try and get the links and all that stuff in there. For all your Premier League info, and yeah, just get following Luke on Twitter. He's very stalkerish, so he'll just, if you like him, follow him, he'll join you in, send you DMs and everything, so you just get involved with that.
Sliding in those DMs.
Sliding in your DMs.
I don't know what DMs are.
Anyway, he's been Luke.
Just does it on the page.
Yeah. He's been Luke. He's been Dan. I've been Anton. We've been Irons United. Come on, you Irons.